In the start of 2021, e-commerce sales brought in an estimated $4.9 trillion US dollars worldwide, and it's predicted that this number is set to grow by 56%, reaching just over $8.1 trillion by 2026. Now, this here shows the enormous growth of the industry, but most importantly, that there are little to no signs of online shopping slowing down anytime soon. So the potential to become successful with dropshipping is very, very real. And the best part is you're getting in at one of the greatest times in history. This is because now more than ever, AI technology has made it significantly easier to start and scale your own dropshipping business by streamlining operations, enhancing customer experiences, and even optimizing marketing strategies. Gone are the days that I had to suffer through where you would need to learn how to code and put together websites on your own, when you now have AI-powered apps that can be built into platforms like Shopify that automate and simplify the entire process for you. Gone are also the days where you would manually need to reach out to suppliers in China at 2 a.m, but instead you can now use platforms to easily source products from reputable suppliers. Gone are also the days where you would need to do all the customer service yourself or even hire a virtual assistant from another country to do this, when you can now use AI chatbots to handle a majority of this work for you. Now, I'll go into more detail later on in this video about all the different advantages that you now have within the current climate. You're getting into the space equipped with more tools than I ever had when I first started dropshipping over 7 years ago, where it would have even taken me multiple weeks to just launch and build my first store. So before we begin, who am I? Where is my credibility? And why should you even listen to me? Well, my story starts in a low-income Korean American household that struggled financially nearly my entire life. This all happened during a time where I thought the only option to make a decent wage meant that I had to finish going to a decent school around my area so I can get a decent paying job. And even at an early age, I still knew deep down inside that college was ultimately a scam that I did not want any part of. Growing up, I saw my parents struggle with debt nearly my whole life, and the last thing that I wanted to do was lock myself into the same fate that I saw them suffering through as a kid. Now, I surely would have done that if I decided to go to a 4-year school here in the US. It is mad expensive. I would have had to take out a student loan and probably work my entire life off getting a basic median salary job to barely get by every single year. What's unfortunate about this is millions of people actually suffer through the very same thing, and there's a good chance if you're watching this video, you're either going through that now, or you will, or you at least know about 20 different people that are about to go through it. So fast forward, take little young Jung, and I come into my senior year in high school, where I had 2 Division I scholarships to play rugby, and this was a sport that I fell in love with, and I'm still even playing 10 years later down the road. During my senior year of high school, I ended up turning down those scholarship offers because they barely made a dent in what I was still gonna pay to these schools. Shortly after that, I made the decision to, instead of going to a 4-year school, I go to community college. Now, for the first time ever, my parents struggling financially had come into my favor, where now I was able to attend community college in my area and go for free because I was able to get approved for things such as the Pell Grant and different FAFSA programs, where basically they're saying your parents are struggling so much financially, we're gonna help you out with all your school bills. Now, it was during community college where I was really figuring out who I wanted to become, and it's when I decided that I had enough, and this was the time I decided to take the next step in starting my very own business. Keep in mind, up until this point, I knew nothing about business. I didn't know any entrepreneurships. I didn't even know what the definition of an entrepreneur was until even just a few years after I was already in community college. Now, this is where the breakthrough happened. I hit some of the very lows in my life. I was still struggling financially. I was working 2 jobs, one as a health technician, working with kids who had autism, and second, helping my dad doing hardwood floors as a contractor. The times I wasn't on my hands and knees doing that, and the times I wasn't working with the kids, I would go on YouTube to learn about different businesses that I could potentially start with little to no money. Now, out of all the different businesses that I learned about, dropshipping was the best because I didn't need large capital to get started with. I didn't need to have this extravagant business network and all these connections. I just needed the internet and some time to learn and put things together. Aside from dropshipping, I'd even learned about Amazon FBA, but the one downside to even that business model for me was that it required a lot of buying inventory and me risking capital that I didn't have. It was also also during that time where I first heard about affiliate marketing about 7 to 8 years back. And even with this business model, it seems so difficult because I had no background in marketing and I just didn't really understand the full concept of that business model. And it was also at a time where I had no audience, I had no content, and I didn't want to wait around either for years in order for me to start seeing maybe just one $5 payout. So it seemed as if every other business model I was just too unqualified for. But dropshipping was one that I saw potential in. Now keep in mind, I knew dropshipping wasn't going to be easy, but it was the business model that made the most sense for me in seeing a future of how success could be achieved. For me back then, even making just $100 online seemed nearly impossible. And this here was especially the case because I grew up in a household where all I had heard about was the struggles of money, of how we can't do this, of how rich people are just in a separate class. And that had conditioned me to be skeptical of nearly everything growing up. So it took many, many months of me really rewiring my brain where I went from being such a pessimist and always seeing the glass half empty, blaming others, carrying such a deep hatred in my heart for everything, to then now becoming this version of me that you guys see here today. After months and months of just getting my mind right and deliberate building and learning as much as I could, I had a breakthrough. I still remember this day. I was sitting in the new science building in Montgomery College. I was testing out a store that I built out. I was running some ads, and I remember I saw my first order. It was shortly after that I had then made over $100,000 in revenue my first year with no online experience, no business experience, and as someone who just had a dream of trying to make a better future for myself and my family. Now look, $100,000 in revenue doesn't seem like much for most people, but to me, it was everything. I felt as if I was a millionaire, and it was really the first moment in my life where I thought, wow, this might not be a scam after all, and I can make money from the internet. Look, it was wild. I still remember the flurry of emotions that I was going through. I was confused, but yet happy and excited, but also scared and unsure of what the future might hold. Now, eventually, I transitioned my dropshipping business over into a full private label custom-made brand. This is where the manufacturers began to customize the color. They added improvements to the product, and I ended up getting a huge shipment into my parents' house. Now, as you begin to take that first step into even starting your own business within the dropshipping world, you'll realize very early on that you're gonna have to wear many hats. Now, looking back, this is what I'm most grateful for aside from the money that I was able to make at that point. This is because in wearing those hats, I was able to grow so many different skills that I didn't know I was capable of. It was those same skills that allowed me to build my first digital marketing agency, run my own YouTube channel, have an ability to learn and to market on a different scale, where fast forward to now, even current days, I've made multiple 7 figures. I've been able to buy not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 of my dream vehicles. I was able to pay off all of my parents' credit card debt. And even more than that, I was able to accomplish all of it without having to sell my soul to the world. Right now, I'm in the best relationship of my life. I recently got married not too long ago. And not only that, I now have built myself a team that I'm so proud and grateful of that I can work besides every single day. Now, looking back, those blessings all started about 7 to 8 years ago, right around the time that I decided to take my first leap of faith into dropshipping. So if you're still asking yourself, is dropshipping worth it? Is it real? Is it not too oversaturated, Brian? You started this so long ago. And let me tell you the truth. Even about a decade ago, when I first got into the space, everyone then was saying it was too oversaturated. Here's the thing, no matter what business you're in, people can always claim that something is too oversaturated, that it's not worth it, and that you can't do it. Now, the revelation that I've had, just like any business model, a restaurant, a software company, whatever it is, dropshipping is one that I believe if you commit your time, focus, and energy into, and you take it seriously, and it's not with this mindset where you're already thinking to yourself, it's not worth it. I'm already gonna fail. The chances are against me. The odds are always not in my favor. You're already setting yourself up for failure. As I mentioned earlier, the advantage now is that you have more tools than most people ever did. You have better fulfillment sourcing. You have AI to help build out so much. And if you still don't think it's possible to get rich from dropshipping or that it is too oversaturated, just listen here closely. So here's a chart. I call it the chart of Jung. This is because it's based off the limitations that I saw and how these still exist in the minds of others today. In this chart, there are outer rings that represent the very first obstacles obstacle that every beginner who wants to get into dropshipping will run into. So most people will first say dropshipping is a scam and I won't try it, and boom, they might watch a few videos on YouTube, but that's it. Now, if you're able to break through that outer ring, you get into the second layer, which I'd say is about 50% of the people who are able to see the potential of success when it comes to dropshipping, but they can't even make their own store. Now, I have a solution for anyone who gets stuck in the second outer ring that I'll talk about later. But for now, the third ring, and where 60% of people end up quitting on, is where they are able to build this store and they end up getting too scared to run any kind of ads. Now look, when it comes to running any kind of ads or spending money, I know it's scary, but 95% of any true successful business will cost you either money or a significant portion of your time. Look, you can make it in dropshipping without running paid ads, but it could take a very long time. So it's at this point where I realize about 80% of most average people have decided to give up. But if you are not part of the 80 and you're part of the 20%, this is where I've seen people try running their ads, but they have no idea how to do it. They run a campaign for $10 to even $20 a day. They let it marinate for about 5 days using Facebook ads, Google ads, or even TikTok ads. And when they realize that they haven't made a single sale, they give up there and they say that dropshipping was a scam and it never works. And they usually then go back to school or they go back to their 9 to 5 or whatever job that they might have had before. Now, here's the truth. The people that are continuing to give up are giving up right before they're about to hit big. What this reminds me most of is someone who's been digging, and right before they're about to hit all the sack of diamonds and the gold, that's when they decide to give up. So what I've seen after that is people who decide to run ads, they make those adjustments, they try again, and eventually you're able to get that first sale. I'd say now about 90% of the people have gotten wiped out, only 10% are now remaining. This is where I've seen countless amount of other entrepreneurs who now get their first sale. They've done all the work, but it's here where they realize it's difficult to scale. They have no systems in place. They're doing order fulfillment, customer service, revamping their ads and optimizing their website, and it's just too much work. Now look, my goal in this video is to not get you to 7 to 8 figures as someone who just entered the dropshipping space. If anyone is promising you that, because there's gonna be a lot of ads like that on this video, be really careful. There are so many conditions required in order for anyone to generate a consistent income. But what I'll tell you is this, I'm gonna get you guys as close to that step where most people give up. This is the step right after you make that first sale, where about 90% of your competition has already given up and you're now about to hit the next phase of your business. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through step by step on how you can start a successful Shopify dropshipping store as a beginner for this year. So before I get into it, let me just explain as a reminder for any of our newbies what dropshipping is. All right, so I'm training for my very first marathon at the end of the year, and I've been running about 20 miles a week. Normally, I try to go outside in the morning for my runs. I feel like the dopamine and everything just hits a little harder during that time, but some days I'm really busy. Like the days I gotta record a video like this, I'm here all day in the studio, and I end up doing my training run later in the evening. It's usually at this time though, where things are extremely dark. The neighborhood I live in, there aren't that many bright lights. And in order to protect myself and in order to make sure that I don't get hit by a car or whatever, I need to get a dependable light source like a headlamp. Now this one here is one that I stumbled upon. Taking a look at the video, it's a pretty dope product and I actually see myself using it. Now the videos that I watched on this product, it links to what looks to be a legitimate store brand where they bought the inventory beforehand, but this is where the whole principle of dropshipping comes into play. Well, first of all, look at this. Website is clean, featured on all these different news websites. They compare it to other headlamps and flashlights, and you could see some of the benefits here. Now, to me, this could look like a true brand where someone is fulfilling it from their own warehouse just because it looks like there's custom design. Even the packaging looks to be a bit custom. Now, this product is selling for $35 on this site. If I go into AliExpress though, you'll be able to actually find that product right here for $1.99. So the difference is if this brand that we came across ships their own products out from a warehouse that they own, it's not drop shipping, it's called private label brand. If it turns out that they end up shipping the item from AliExpress or from another website and then send it to their customer, then it's drop shipping. Now the benefit of drop shipping is this, you do not need to buy a whole bunch of these running headlamps just in the case that they don't sell. All you would do is if someone pays you $35, you would go ahead and ship the product out for $1 and you would still be left with the profit of $33 minus the cost of any type of ads that you might be running. So this here is dropshipping dropshipping in the simplest capacity. As a customer, I don't really see a big difference as long as I get the item and it's working well and it comes in on time. It's all I care about. But as you can see, it's pretty easy for anyone to get started. When the barrier of entry is extremely low, that means you're filled in something called a red ocean, where you have a whole bunch of competition and there is blood in the waters, but there is still a way for you to stand out. Now, we'll talk more about how you can do that later on in this video, but before we do that, I need to go over the most important step in finding success in dropshipping, and that actually starts with mindset. Look, I mentioned this earlier, and it accounts for any kind of business, but even more so with dropshipping, where if you try and you are convinced that it doesn't work, it's too saturated, you're not smart enough, then you have already failed. And by the way, look, you can still get ahead in business and even build a whole dropshipping empire and hit even the 7 to 8 figure revenue mark without having a proper mindset or having a proper daily routine. But the truth is, you won't last very long. I've seen countless amount of stories of people who can only get so far with just luck. But eventually, when you decide you want to build a real sustainable business, living a lifestyle of eating junk food, being in brain fog, and being addicted to worldly pleasures will only get you so far. This is why I believe it's so important that you learn to recondition and reprogram your mind to be optimistic of the results that you can achieve. The first thing I started before taking any actionable step was just working on my mindset. It's not something where you hit up like a BetterHelp counselor and then after one day you're good. This instead is a practice of not just daily, but even every moment that you're aware to start renewing your mind. As I mentioned before, I grew up in a home with a lot of negative energy. I was wired to always believe that I couldn't do it because my parents couldn't do it, and I had to start with practicing mindfulness to really understand and catch myself about where my awareness and focus went. If you grew up in a similar background where you're surrounded by struggling poverty, you're not living in the best neighborhood, and you really feel that scarcity, chances are you might be operating in what we call the poverty mindset. Ultimately, this just means you're living in a state of fear. When in fear, you overthink, you doubt yourself, and it becomes a lot more easy to believe the lies of the enemy. And to overcome this, here's what I did. Whether you start what the kids nowadays call monk mode, or what I as a Christian call a biblical fast, where I limit the food I eat, I reduce all the negative distractions and things that give me dopamine, and I just spend hours journaling, reading, praying, meditating. All you really need to do is just take a principle out of one of those many things that I did in order to start getting your mind right and shaped for owning and becoming the boss of what you envision. Now, I've been in the business game for about 7 to 8 years. I'd like to think I know a little bit more of what I'm doing at this stage, especially with the team that I have and a lot of the many obstacles that I've had to overcome. As someone who also played many different sports, including rugby, I realized having the mindset of starting your own business is very similar to what the mindset of a pro athlete has. With a pro athlete, it's all about the grind. You work hard every day, you show up consistently, you have to make sure you eat right so you have enough energy, and it means that you're able to take care of your health. Even now, every morning I do a cold plunge, I'm going out on these runs, I'm making sure that I'm eating just plain, clean, healthy food so that I'm able to be the best version of myself, because when it comes to business, you need to be able to think and you need to be clear-minded. Now look, I wasn't always like this. I grew up eating junk food like corn dogs and McDonald's McChickens. I remember even growing up, there were so many countless nights I would be drinking and just doing all this stuff that would literally take away from the next day. I'd be hungover, I'd be filled up with brain fog, and I was just wasting my life away. That was something consistent that I was literally a part of for a majority of my life, but then I had that moment where the switch flipped and I eventually built my way up to becoming who I am now. It was at a certain point, I had to cut down my love for sports. I had to cut down any of the alcohol because of the effects that it would have on me, and I would have to cut down on the people that I would hang around with. 1 Corinthians 15:33, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. And this here speaks volume about even the people that we have in our lives, especially if you know that you're destined for something greater. When you're starting a business, you're chasing a dream, you need positive people instead who are able to uplift you, support you, and inspire you and help you to stay focused and disciplined. These are going to be the friends who cheer you on, offer constructive feedback. They buy from your dropshipping store instead of telling you that it's going to fail. Now, for majority of my life, I did not have friends who could support me in that capacity. So I had to learn to really limit and cut down my circle. And eventually I was able to build the supportive network that I dreamed of. So as you decide to take the next steps in building your own empire or chase your dreams of becoming your own business owner, remember the importance of mindset and surrounding yourself with good company. I 100% believe that if I wasn't able to make those changes, I would not be here today. Now, if you have not been taking notes up until this point, pause this video, start taking notes, guys. Get your iPhone, whatever it is in the notes section. And I want you to write this. Start with being mindful of your current state of mind every day. Ask yourself, are you often thinking that you can't do this, or that you're not able to, or that you're not good enough? And just be honest about yourself, because I grew up thinking that I wasn't capable, and even if I did make this money, I didn't deserve it. Work through a lot of that, because you'll realize that they're just a bunch of empty lies. Even if you haven't yet started, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be successful. Even if you've tried many different businesses and you've got burnt in the past, it doesn't mean your next one is automatically going to fail. For me, I decided to read a lot of books, something I hated doing, but I eventually started to love because I read books that provided me so much value. I listened to books on Audible while I was commuting back and forth from work to school to different rugby games, and I decided to listen to more podcasts of people who have done it, who have gone through their experience, and I was constantly listening to resources like this video here. Now, here's what's most important. If you are going to add in new habits, you only have a finite amount of time in your day. You must replace your new habits with another older bad habit. So instead of Netflix, you decide to learn how to make a website. Instead of going out to drink a party, you decide to sleep in early so you can work at the coffee shop bright and early, get your workout in, and start seizing that day. Once I got my mindset right, it was as simple as waking up and knowing exactly what 3 to 4 tasks I'll be completing in that day in order to move the needle towards my goal. So it's from here where your goal is to just make sure that you're crossing things off your list daily. And it's from there where we now go into the action steps of finally building. So at this point, your very first objective, it's not learning ads, it's not building a new Instagram account with all these followers. It's just finding a potential winning product. What I've learned from my years and experience of being within this space is that if you spend more time on this section here and trying to find a winning product, you will raise your chances of success exponentially. So no matter how good your store is, no matter how great your ads are, if you don't have a proper winning product with potential, none of this will work. So Brian, what is a winning product? Well, it needs to check as many as these 10 factors if you want it to succeed. Now look, back in 2018, this checklist was just 2 to 3 things. If you're able to get 2 to 3 things on this list, you could still make a couple million in revenue. Now in 2024, I did mention, yeah, there is more competition in this space. So you'll want to make sure that you hit a grand slam product. And to do that, it's with what I'm going to mention here. So number 1, you want to find a product that has high demand and low competition. So high demand means the product meets a current trend, it solves a problem, it's something that can go easily viral. Lower competition just means that there are only a handful of sellers, there are only a handful of dropshippers. If you're trying to compete against a product like the headlamp thing and they're running $500 a day ad set campaigns, it's going to be pretty hard for you to come in and beat them out. The second thing I look for within a product is good profit margins. You could have the best product in the world, but if it's expensive to make and if the perceived value of what the customer would buy it for is not at a high price either, this is one that I would automatically ignore. Now, you could also find a product that costs just $3 to make, but if it's a giant product, like it's a new cold plunge, and the boxes for that are like 5 to 6 feet tall and it weighs 500 pounds and shipping ends up being $300 per unit, the profit margins are going to go down. So you need to account for the total cost of the product, even including shipping and other miscellaneous factors. Number 3, find products that aren't as easily accessible. So if I was walking into a 7-Eleven or a CVS and I'm trying to drop ship deodorant or toothpaste or something, this is readily available. This is something where someone can buy it anytime on Amazon. And there are companies who have just mastered this that I would not step into. So try and find products that are more unique, they're more innovative, and the items that aren't easily found in local stores. Number 4, you want to make sure that your product that you're dropshipping is easy to ship. As I mentioned earlier, if you got something that weighs 300-400 pounds, the shipping cost themselves is going to be a nightmare. But keep in mind with dropshipping, no matter how great the product is, at some point you will get a return order. And if you have a ginormous package that is extremely hard to get a return order for, it might be more difficult to scale later on. So as long as you're not shipping like a giant table or a desk, you should be fitting within this criteria, but at least just make sure you still keep this in mind. Number 5, scalability. Any product that you decide to dropship should easily be scalable, meaning that you can sell larger quantities without having to run into significant logistical or supply chain issues. Think about it like this. If I'm selling like a custom oak tree iPhone case where it may take the manufacturers 4 hours of labor and they have such a limited quantity because of how long it takes to make their product. Look, dropshipping is all about numbers. It's all about scaling hard. And if you have a product that you really want to test and it takes a long time to make, yeah, you could make a few sales, but if it doesn't scale with you, you're eventually going to run into issues. Number 6, try to find a product that has a growing interest. So this is different from trying to find a product that can go easily viral. This is finding products that might be more seasonal, okay? So winter comes around, people need more jackets. They want those little hand warmer USB things. And although it's seasonal, we know that the market for this is continuing to grow because it's an item that still hasn't gotten mass traction. To confirm whether or not you're in a growing interest category with some of these products, just do a simple search trend or market analysis on social media, on TikTok, to indicate whether or not this is going to be one of those winning products. 7, you want to find products that also have broad appeal, but within a targeted niche. Look, if you have a product that is way too broad, like if you're trying to sell these headphones, whoever makes these headphones are going to get a majority of the market share. If I decide to start drop shipping random headphones, I'm telling you, it ain't going to do well. You are going to lose money. That item right there would be way too broad. But if I was able to find a broader item within a niche market that can do one thing particularly well, and that is solving a problem. So find a niche so that you can understand how to solve a problem and present them the solution with your item there. Out of all the things that I mentioned, if you're able to do that and really understand that, that is marketing at its core, and that's going to give you the biggest advantage within this space. Next, you want to make sure that whatever item or product that you decide to dropship, that it is compliant with advertising platforms. I've seen some people who wanted to dropship like the pew pew shooters, or they wanted to dropship products that could help other people do illegal things. Look, if you're going to sell an item, I'm not here to judge. Y'all do whatever you want, but you're going to run into the issue at some point where if you want to scale it on Facebook or TikTok, they're going to go ahead and disable or even take it further by banning your account. Now, look, I've seen some accounts, yes, that are a bit more creative and they know how to get through certain rules, but you're going to be saving yourself a ton of headache if you just from the start try to avoid those items. Now, the next factor that I look for in a winning product actually comes down to the variable of timing. This is where if a product has gone viral maybe 5 years ago and no one's talked about it, you have an opportunity to succeed here. This also means if a product went viral like a year ago, you might still have an opportunity to take that product and let it blow up once again. Timing is huge. If certain products have been shown to the mass market recently and everyone already has it, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. So if you're looking to identify a winning product for your dropshipping store, make sure that it's able to tick at least a majority of the boxes in what I mentioned. Look, in some instances, you will have a fluke chance where it literally checks no boxes, but then it becomes a winning product. It takes off into the stratosphere and you still end up making millions. The whole point with my checklist is that it's going to give you a foundation of what you should be on the lookout for when you're doing your research. Remember, finding a winning product is also a skill and it requires research, it requires further analysis, and also it requires you to have a bit of intuition from experience in you getting it right over time. And just like any skill, it takes time to master, but there are cases where I've seen others who are able to pick it up naturally, very fast, very well, as soon as they're able to put their mind to it. All right, so now that we know how to look for a winning product, how can you find one? Well, here's what I believe is the best method from 2024 and beyond. This is because my method here relies on TikTok, and it's betting on the fact that TikTok is going to continue to grow as a platform. More and more youngins are going to keep using it. They're going to be glued to it, and their algorithm is going to get even better than where it is now. Remember, social media platforms, even specifically TikTok, their main objective is to keep you glued onto the app for as long as possible by showing you addictive content. From this, they're able to gather some of the best data on what their viewers like and what they don't like, and this is where you can take advantage of that. Number one, create a brand new TikTok account to source products for. By creating a fresh new account with no algorithm data, this is going to help you prime your account to help you find winning products before they take off. It's from here I would start searching up things like online shopping hauls and just look up a bunch of videos of little knickknacks and goodies and of different products that are starting to go viral. When you come across the next trending product, whether it's like a little sticky ball or like a little pimple popper stress game, whatever the trend might be next, you want to go ahead and try to get shown these items on your account before they end up getting millions of views. So to do this, anytime you see a trending product, like it, comment it, add it to your bookmarks. This year is going to show the algorithm that you're engaging with it, that you enjoy it, and you want to see more of it. So what TikTok does is they have this huge audience pool that you're in. Once they're able to identify what you like, what you keep watching, what keeps you on their platform, they move and migrate your account profile to fit within another sample size. So the goal here too is if you're on TikTok, you're technically on work mode. Don't just scroll mindlessly, but have your reticular activation on so that you're able to see these products and ask yourself this one question: why is it viral? What is the value add? But this is where when you ask these questions and you are able to answer it faster and faster and faster, where you're now building up the skill that I mentioned earlier in building your intuition on finding winning products. After a certain point, every time you open your TikTok app with this certain account, you should be seeing a new product that has been posted and getting a lot of engagement. So be sure to continue bookmarking it because these are going to be the products that you're going to then want to do further research on. Once you have a base amount of products, go through them. I want you to build out at least 50 saved products. Go through their page because if they're successful with this dropshipping product, they might have 5 to 10 other products that they're testing that haven't gone viral yet. Look, dropshipping is a whole game of free for all. If someone is doing well, I would never say go copy what they're doing one-to-one, but take inspiration, see if there's a market opening, see if there's anything that you could do better. And if their ads are crummy or if their branding is not great and you are able to provide more value to other people in the business that you're building inspired off of them, I'd say you have the green light to do so. No matter how hard you think, you could be like meditating for 10 years and be like, okay, this is the idea. No, everything that you think is original that has not been done yet, chances are someone has done it. So if that's the case, just save yourself all the time thinking and find ways where you take the product and you know how to improve it. And if you're still in the beginning steps of your dropshipping journey, see what you could do within the basics of even creating a more different, unique ad. Now we'll get to that soon, but going back to my action list, here's what you focus on. First, get over 50 winning products. Use my winning checklist formula that I mentioned in the previous step to see if this product is able to at least check off 8 of those boxes. Now look, if all 50 of those products don't fit within the criteria that we talked about, go ahead and find 50 more. You want to keep doing this until you have at least 2 to 5 winning products that you can rank from most likely to succeed to very least likely with a reason attached. So after we found a winning product, we need to then make sure that we find a reputable supplier. And we also need to build up our website. And this is where one of our top partners within the dropshipping space, Zendrop, comes into play. So Zendrop is a fully managed product fulfillment and inventory management company meant to make dropshipping as easy as possible. Looking back, when I started my dropshipping store, I had to process so much customer information from another app. I had to find all these suppliers that I didn't really trust, meanwhile managing hundreds of other things when it came to running my first business. What Zendrop does is they automate your dropshipping store. They help you fulfill orders on over 1 million products that are available with suppliers that they have relationships with all around the world. So Zendrop has an amazing feature where if you're able to get a sale on a product, you can then request a quote for it on Zendrop, where they work directly with the manufacturers, producing the product, getting you oftentimes better price, more reliability with shipping, and help you get the best delivery to your customers. Look, in 2024, if you also want to succeed, nearly every manufacturer and supplier knows in China what dropshippers are, who they are. And sometimes what this means is they're going to take advantage of that. And if you give them 20, 30 orders, they could just run with your money and they could decide, hey, we're not going to ship it to anyone. There's nothing you could do about it. This is more common than not when it comes to the world of dropshipping. This is where I also see Zendrop coming in clutch, where you're able to then build relationships through them with someone that you trust, where they do the work for you, where they're able to find these reliable manufacturers that are going to make sure that your product gets sent to your customer. So after all that, you have your winning checklist. You have a decent idea of what kind of products you may want to dropship. You have the supplier supplier contact. Now we're gonna need a website. So for me, the two most intimidating things about dropshipping when I first got started was actually building my own website and then after that running ads. I wish back then I had the tools that you guys have access to now because it would have saved me so much time. It also turns out if you go ahead and just use the Shopify free template store, this here could be what crushes your business and prevents you from even just getting that one sale to start your business. Look, back then, a free template store, you could get by it, okay? But these days, you're gonna need a decent looking website. Within a good website, it's having the right loading speed. Yes, it's having the basic stuff, the fonts, the images. These things you can all source, but what's most important is that if you want to get conversions, you need to have a well-optimized product landing page. All right, so let's go back to the example of the flashlight because this is a solid example of what I'd say is a good page. Now, I think there's definitely way too much copy here, but this could be for SEO purposes. They have their reviews on the top. They have high quality photos. They have before and afters. They have real use cases in their photos. I'm able to zoom in, pull things up. They have different fonts and colors. This shows that it looks more to be a credible brand, but then they also have different conversions, which also makes me think that this is definitely a dropshipping brand. But take a note at some of the things that they do good in. They highlighted the price in green. They tell you how much money that you save. They give you the offer of saving even more money through 4 interest-free installments with Shop Pay. So we know this is actually built off of Shopify. They didn't even get rid of this on the bottom left of their website. Now I'm being a little too nitpicky, but they did do a great job. This website is very clean. It's very straightforward. You have your credibility, your trust, you have your text, you have your tech specs that you can bring up here. They go over the 3 handy benefits. So when it comes to marketing, there's something called the rule of 3, where you don't want to have so many different marketing points because you're going to overwhelm the customer. They hit it easy. 3 points right here. They go over a comparison chart. They show you even more professional, well done photos of people using the product. I'm able to continue still scrolling down, and then I see over 1,700 reviews that shows me social proof. This item was bought before by real people. Even further than that, I could see different use cases, postal workers, amazing products. I could see even a video from someone who has bought the item if I wanted to. I'd consider this to be a pretty solid website. Now look, making something like this, it might seem easy, but it does require a lot of work. I mentioned Zendrop a little while back, and I also said that they're an all-in-one platform, and this is actually a new feature that they recently came across with. If I was starting out dropshipping once again, I would definitely be utilizing the tool of having AI help me build out as much of the site as I need. So Zendrop is able to help you accomplish all of that. By checking out the link down below in the description with Zendrop, you can get a fully built Shopify store, saving you weeks or even months if you happen to be a slow learner. And literally this AI will do it all for you. Even now, it's still miles ahead of the free Shopify theme pages. And if you find that making a really good website is also a very difficult part for you, I believe using a store builder just like this is a pretty solid deal. And if you want to do less work for the tools that are very accessible to access, I would definitely check them out down below. So if you want to take advantage of the offer, I have a completely free store builder all ready and set for you to use, and also a free 7-day trial to Zendrop. So to access this, it's really easy. First, go down below, click on the link, and shortly after, you'll get an email confirmation of the next steps. Just go through your email inbox. They're going to give you a link to open up Shopify, and that link you open up is going to be the new store built for you, ready to go within less than just a few minutes. Even checking out a few of the product landing pages that it built out for me, I'm genuinely impressed. So I received the email. I decided to log in. I'll click on Brian Home. And taking a look at this store, you have the reviews, you have the product description, a lot of the functionality is there. So if you decide to go with Zendrop, you have your store built out for you. You can then decide to roll with this particular store here, or you can go through and change out your products to find what fits within your market research. Like I mentioned earlier, you can source products through Zendrop. To do this, it's real easy. Open up your Zendrop app. From here, click on Find Products in the sidebar, and then search for the product that you found in your product research. And if that product that you found in your research ain't here, you can still link items directly from AliExpress to make sure that everything is still centralized. Now, once your result pops up, you can filter by supplier location, category, price ranges, and a lot more. What I personally prefer is finding US-based suppliers. This is usually tough on other platforms, but with Zendrop, you have it a lot more easily accessible. Now, by the way, just a big tip, if you are dropshipping, try to make sure that the product is coming from the US. Like even 10 years ago, when someone had to wait 2 weeks for their product, they were already getting a little antsy, but these days with Amazon Prime shipping and just seeing how fast other companies can ship all the time. You do not want to have your customer waiting over a week. So the best way to combat this is to make sure that the item that you have found is a US-based supplier. Now, out of all those features, what I particularly love about Zendrop is that they have a bonus where you can include personalized thank you cards, or you can add personal branding to level up your authenticity in your brand. So if you are interested at all, a 7-day free trial is a pretty good deal. Check out the link down below in the description. And once you do have your store set up, you could either cancel, or if you decide to renew, I worked out an exclusive deal with Zendrop where you can get 50% off the first 3 months, and you'll also unlock a $200 order credit onto your account. Now look, it's very rare that I'll partner up with a company like this and they literally take my criticism, take my tips, ask me for more input, and are always willing to improve their platform. And it's something that I really appreciated. Between us, Zendrop is so good that I would have integrated them already naturally, but they're still kind enough to be at least an official sponsor for this video here. So if you do want to have access to it, the link is down below for you guys to get started. All right, now at this point, you should have a product and a store built up, but what's next? Well, you got to start driving some traffic to your store to get your first sale. And this can be done in 2 ways: with organic traffic, which is free, but it's going to take some time, and paid ads, which costs money, but is more guaranteed to save your time. Now, look, if you're not ready to invest in your business just yet, you can get started with organic marketing. There's nothing wrong with that. This here can help you get initial feedback. It can also be a nice little beginner stepping stone for you to get your feet a little bit wet into the kiddie pool before you decide to take a full dive in. Now, to get started with the organic method, it is very straightforward. First, you're gonna need to order the product and then make different video recordings and variations of you using the product, and you wanna post consistently on a fresh new TikTok account. Now, this TikTok account is separate from your testing TikTok account, all right? The second one is gonna be the one that you build for your brand. Going back into the example of the running headlamp product, you could see how many different types of videos that you can make. A simple one is to just show how the product works. So imagine this is the product right here. I could literally test the brightness of it compared to a competitor flashlight. I could show the use case of me going outside on my run and feeling how lightweight it is. Or another one is I could just shine it onto a dark field, and if it's able to light up the entire background compared to a cheap $1 flashlight, that just shows the benefit that it has over some of the other stuff. I think before and after videos also work well. I could do one video where I have a very heavy, clunky headlamp, and then I put like the light one on, and you just see me, being able to move real well. It's at this point you got to get creative. And look, if you're not a creative person, that's okay too, because if you go on ChatGPT and you put in a simple prompt like, hey, I want to be able to create some organic content for my headlamp product, give me some ideas. You'd be so surprised at the amazing things that ChatGPT can come up with. To make it even easier, if you're someone who's never recorded a product video before, just think of it as if you're recording a video recommending this product to a friend. So if I'm showing my friend a new muscle roller that I bought, I'm gonna tell him about how great I feel after, why this muscle roller is so much better than the old one at my gym. And you don't even have to use your voice. You don't even have to think about the video script, because ChatGPT can do it all for you. And then there are these amazing AI voice tools where you can input and type it in, and it'll have that really amazing voice where you sound like this. Y'all know that voice that I'm talking about. Like, you hear it all the time now. Now, I know the biggest thing that holds most people back is editing a video. And lucky enough for you, there are even tools for that. So a good AI video editor is gonna be linked down below in the description. There are a variety of them, but I think this one here is the best. Or you could also just hire someone overseas from Upwork or Fiverr and have them clip it for you. It turns out if you wanna get some shorts edited, you could get maybe 10, 20, 30 edited for a whopping price of just $20. Now, obviously it depends on the quality, who's doing it, how much work it entails, but you would not believe the amount of people all around the world who are desperate to edit a video that you would have ready for them. So at this point, you got some videos, it's all edited. You do it, someone else does it, doesn't matter. What matters is this: you need to post more, especially on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram Reels, because the more that you post, the more the algorithm will pick you up, which will help you to get even more views to your product, eventually leading to more link clicks, eventually leading to a possible sale. Now look, this method here, it sounds great in theory, But the reality is that it is very time consuming. If you're someone who's new to the space, you've never done any of this before, it's gonna take even longer, and it's also gonna require a lot of trial and error for you to be able to get a video that could go viral. When you're doing organic marketing, you're basically leaving your success up to chance on the algorithm because you still can't really control who ends up seeing that video. Running paid ads is almost always the best way to build a business if you are trying to save and optimize your time. Not only that, but paid ads focuses on an audience that your product could resonate most with. Of all the ads that I've seen running on TikTok, one single type that has continued to perform the best is UGC content. This is where you can find people to record a video about your product, and they send that video to you so that you can then run it as an ad. This is where you can use a platform to find a whole bunch of different UGC micro influencers and creators who'd be more than happy to take a quick video of your product. And it's from there you can either still post it on TikTok or Instagram organically, or you could use that to run with ads. For me, I don't like running ads unless I've tested something or unless I really have to. And with TikTok, you can just post these UGC videos on your new branded page. So if I wanted to sell these running headlamps, I would create an Instagram account. I'll have the website, I'll run the Instagram branded page, and then I'll get these UGC videos of what I had in mind with the script that I mentioned earlier that ChatGPT can write out for you. And when I get a video that I like, I upload it to TikTok and I see, whoa, organically, this video just did like 50,000 views. I know that there's potential in me being able to run it as a paid ad, where it then targets people who are actually going to buy it. And it's from there, you are closer than ever to having your own successful dropshipping store. Now, if you want to get UGC content, check out a site like Billo. If I find any other good alternatives, I'll also link that down below. When using Billo, keep this in mind. You want to be as specific and clear as possible when sharing with the content creator what you envision. So a lot of the times people will just like type a few sentences and then be upset when people give them a different video. Be specific. I will go ahead and even create a video on Loom, or I'll record something on my iPhone and literally walk them through what I have in mind. Other times, if you really want to start from scratch, just have ChatGPT build it out for you. Give it prompts such as, be a producer with specific B-roll shots that I need in order to make sure that someone is able to create a good UGC content ad for this headlamp product. You can say, I want you to be as specific as possible with the goal of getting maximum conversions in sales in mind. The more specific you are with ChatGPT, the better job it can do for you. Now it's from there, run it organically. If it doesn't do well and it flops, try again. So out of all of that, I run it organically. We've been mentioning TikTok just because it is the most simple platform. It is the cheapest and even the easiest right now for most beginners to get started. What's also cool is that you can pair up your Shopify store directly into TikTok and run ads through their ad manager as well. When TikTok asks you for your goal, you would then want to select website conversions. And from here, you can target your audience location, their age, their gender, and interests to make sure that you hit the right people. This targeting here also allows you to filter to only people who have maybe liked your video or have watched a full video in a certain topic instead of just getting random people who might like your video. Now, by the way, this is coming from someone who was full in on Facebook. I spent a lot of money there. I got to a point where I was going to Facebook ad management conferences. I was assigned multiple account managers who were supposed to be the best in the industry, knowing everything about it. And I was just like a 19-year-old kid, and everything they were saying was wrong. What I've realized is TikTok ads is infinitely easier than Facebook ads, and Facebook ads continues to get more and more expensive over time. So with what I've mentioned, this is the formula. But what I haven't mentioned yet is that you need to keep testing until eventually you get a sale. Look, it goes without saying, but your first ad probably isn't going to be a huge hit. Even further than that, your first product that you might choose might not be your biggest winner. The beauty about dropshipping is that you can get started quick, but you can also try the next new thing out very fast as well. Now, before you go back into stage one with going down the checklist of different products that you want to revisit next, I always want to make sure that you have done everything possible and that it truly isn't the product that's the issue. Look at your UGC video. Objectively ask or get your friends to see whether or not it is a good ad. Sometimes you could have a really good product, but if you have a bad ad, you have bad scripts, or even just bad UGC creators, that could be the small little element that makes you miss the mark on the entirety of finding a winning product. product. Now, what I did not mention about paid ads, other than that you got to spend money in order to see any kind of data, is that the data you get back from your paid ads, this here is going to be some of the best data that will help you to make decisions on what you need to do next. Now, if you get a lot of people watching your video, they like your video, and none of them click on your website, it might mean that you don't have a good enough call to action. Another step further is if you get someone to enjoy watching your video, you're getting 100,000 views per video from paid ads, you get a lot of engagements, you get a lot of people tagging each other, you also get a lot of people going onto your website, but you get no sales. What this means is that your website just isn't great. So what I love about all of this is that you can experiment and test different things, and the data does not lie. If you got a lot of people though on your website and they're not checking out, it usually means that your product page can be improved, or even things like the price is too high for them. So lower your price, revamp your website, add in some upgraded features. I remember at a certain point I was getting a ton of traffic to my website and I was getting a ton of add to carts, but then people weren't checking out. What I learned even from those moments was that the checkout page literally for some reason was not working. So you want to make sure that you go through your entire flow as a customer so that you can ensure everything is working properly. Now, remember what I said at the beginning of the video? Well, most people get here to this point that we've talked about. They get to ads, they get to driving traffic, they might get their first sale, but what I've seen far too often is people just giving up when they are right by the finish line. So look, if you've made it this far and you've done all these steps, it's only a matter of time, but it's where you then need to optimize. I just talked about all the things that you can optimize, but even on a macro level within your ads, if your cost per click, your CPC is high on Ads Manager for your TikTok account, it means you might just have a bad ad. A simple solution to this, make a new, better creative. These are the little changes where I think is so fun because you optimize, and after tweaking one thing, you never know when the floodgate opens up for you to get that immense rush of sales. Now, say you optimize everything that you have and the data is still showing that people are not converting. And sometimes it could just be a matter of the fact that it's out of season, the trend is gone, people just do not care about buying it. Then at this point, it's time for you to move on and test the next product. A good rule of thumb is to never marry a product. Never feel like you have to be with the product forever and you have to force it to make it work when it just wasn't meant to be. So make sure you spend enough time on trying to optimize and get the product to work, but don't spend all of your time on it either. What I've realized, if a product is a banger, you'll usually know pretty quick whether or not it really is. A big tip here is buy a separate journal or learn to write down a separate document sheet where with every optimization you do, it becomes a learning lesson that you have written down with the date. When it comes to business, you need to reflect and constantly write out your updates because things happen very quick. It's easy to forget what happened even a month ago, a week ago, or even yesterday. By writing within a journal or typing it in a private note section for your business ventures, you'll be able to outline problems. And if you're able to fix it by doing X, it becomes a learning lesson to save you even more time in the future and to even be able to look back on a period of time where you were struggling and not sure what to do. Look, I'm someone who loves journaling. It's a practice that I picked up when I first got into dropshipping, and I still have journals from 2021 that are stacked this high, and it's some of my most valuable books that I keep around. This is because it's almost like a time machine where I can go back into the past version of Brian, see my struggles with business, see what I was still chasing, what I was hoping for, see what I was learning in those days. And as someone who has now come out on the other side and seen the success and the fruits of my labor, I am so grateful anytime I can look back to see where I started from. Now, let me just reiterate some of the key points that I mentioned earlier. Number one, follow the same process, trust in the process, and apply it to the next product. Number two, keep your emotions out of it. Don't marry a product, okay? Try to just move forward objectively and realizing if a product didn't work out, it's not because you're not capable, it's just because it wasn't the best product and some things are out of your control. Now, this doesn't mean you go around saying, okay, nothing works, everything is out of my control. What I want to emphasize is the fact that if it doesn't work out, realize it quick and move on to the next product based on the strategy that I told you about today. Now, you try one product, it doesn't work. You try a second product, it doesn't work. You try the third product and it doesn't work. This means that you have done something wrong within the product research method. At this point, go back to the beginning of the video, see what you need to tweak and reevaluate so that you can get better products on your list of different items to test. Now, a few additional tips, because look, a lot of you guys are gonna get into the space and it's almost gonna be like throwing a dartboard with a blindfold on. So first, focused more on your interests. When we talk about this whole running headlamp thing, there are many niches. I would not just say, here's a running headlamp, you should all get it. I would be like, hey, if you're a dog walker and you walk your dog at night and you run into this issue here, this is a product that could save your life. Hey, if you are a runner and you're sick of like these big, things bobbing on your head, giving you a headache, this is the item for you. Or hey, look, if you're a mechanic and you're sick of using a flashlight and pouring it in your mouth, this is a product for you. Hey, if you are a plumber, you run your own business and you're in these deep, dark crevices, this is a product for you. Hey, if you're someone who likes to go splunking and they're like diving through caves and they're in the deep darkness, this is the product for you. Find different audiences, find different niches, and it's from here where if you're able to go from a giant audience and narrow it down, you're gonna find that you can get a lot more success with the views, the cost, and even the amount that you would have to pay to TikTok to run your ads. You're gonna notice that a lot of that starts going down as well. I remember even in the beginning, I was like, okay, I need to get the viral product that everyone's gonna use. It's gonna be like the thing that the celebrities are talking about. No, don't do that. There are some people who are really good at finding ultra viral items, but the competition is steep. There are people who have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 plus years that you're competing against. So find different niches that you have an advantage in. Are you a runner? Are you someone into sports? Do you like video games? Find the problem, fit yourself into the persona of what that person might be going through every day and see how you can add value with a product that you're drop shipping. Guys, I really love this stuff. When you see me like doing the worm movement out here on a YouTube video 2 hours in with my throat hurting as much as it is, just know that this energy is deeply rooted in my conviction to help provide you guys value from something I truly believe in. Now, the bottom line, big way to troubleshoot any issues that you run into drop shipping where you're not finding sales is that you just need to find a product at the end of the day that people want. Look, an item that could also be interesting to you, but is consistently only just getting 2 likes on TikTok is not going to be the product that makes you 6 to 7 figures. If your products keep missing, shift your mindset from finding untapped markets to finding markets that are still up and coming. This will at least guarantee that you still have some interest behind your items to help you at least get the first sale. And from there, use that momentum in business to carry on to the next. By the way, if you do get your first sale, I've seen so many new dropshipping entrepreneurs do this where they're now going on Turo, they're renting the Lamborghini, they're taking photos of it. Now you're selling a course too. And this is why the whole dropshipping space gets such a bad rep. It's from all those Wi-Fi money gurus. So let me tell you, if you make a little bit of money, consider that money gone. Okay, first of all, you're gonna have to pay taxes at some point. And another thing is that you're gonna have to pay off your ads. And another thing, you're gonna wanna reinvest it so that eventually you can find these winning products at scale. Now, from all of that, eventually you will get a winning product. If you put your mind and your heart and your soul into this, you put a little bit of time, you will eventually find a product. Once that product does well, all you have to do is scale up your ads on TikTok. Literally increase the budget from $5 or $10 a day to slowly $20, $30, $40 a day, and just keeping an eye out on the ROAS or the return on ad spend. This is where you go from making maybe a couple sales a day, where you're making a couple $100s in profit, to all of a sudden you're making thousands of dollars in revenue a day. And I know that there will be plenty of you watching this video now who end up making thousands of dollars every single hour. Through all that, just make sure your customers are taken care of and make sure that you know how to delegate and hire properly. I remember when I got into the dropshipping space, I hired my first VA. I felt so cool, but I did not do a good job of keeping an eye out on one of my VAs. And you know what they did? Instead of going ahead and answering tickets, they were hiding them, not replying to them. And it took me about a month later to see all these messages on my Instagram saying, yo, I've been trying to get in contact with you guys, but no one's helping me out. And I'm thinking in my head, wait, I hired someone for this. Look, there's gonna be a lot better talent, people who are more better trained. And with a lot of these VAs, the standard rate could be anywhere from $5 to even $8 an hour. And you don't need them full time. It could just be even 1 to 2 hours a day. So as you scale, make sure that you are taking care of yourself by hiring other people, giving you help, because I know there's a trend of this whole one-person business and I gotta do everything myself, but that is not sustainable. The cap to that is really not that high, and eventually you will get burnt out, and eventually you end up going back to square one. Now at this point, I wanna go over some of the best tools that you can also take advantage of in addition to some of the things that we mentioned. So an AI chatbot to take care of conversations, talk to your customers, and solve up to even 70% of customer problems in 7 different languages. This here is gonna be called Lyro AI Agent. I will have all of these tools, by the way, linked down below in the description. Most of them are referral and affiliate links, so I get a kickback. back. But most of the time, you guys will also get a discount or even just a free credit like we saw with Zendrop earlier. Following this, you're getting some sales, you're scaling your store up. Don't forget about simple little tricks that can help you increase your profit margin significantly. This is where you can include something called upsells, cross-sells, or even buy one, get one discounts. Now, if someone decides to buy one of these flashlights, imagine if there is a more powerful version, a 2.0 version, where you can be like, hey, this one's $10 more expensive, so check this one out instead. It's a newer, latest version. Most customers will end up wanting the latest thing, and this will help you bring up your AOV, also known as your average order value. Cross-sells, this is super easy. If I sell a little headlamp thing like this, say I also want to get like a mini flashlight or some pepper spray that I can add onto the side of my arm. You can throw in these little purchases while they're making their purchase and bundle them up. Cross sells are huge. It can help take a $35 order to even $80 to $100 or more. I know plenty of companies too who will break even on the product themselves, but then they make all their margins from upsells, cross sells, and some of these package bundles. What I always like to do is a quantity discount. So if someone buys one, offer them the second one half off. Chances are, if someone really wants it, they might want to get another for their family member or a friend. Another principle when it comes to sales that you need to know is that when someone opens their wallet, say they just purchase one of these little things, on that post checkout page, after they've made a purchase, this is where someone is most likely to buy something else. And this here is called your post-purchase upsell. So a lot of this sounds complicated, but if you use an app like Aftersell, it can set it up pretty much all for you. You just need to go ahead and give it at least the bare minimum instructions on what kind of offer upsell that you're looking for and what the product is that you want to add onto the bundle. Now, I've seen a lot of people completely neglect this, but it's a simple way for you to optimize traffic, get reoccurring customers in, and retargeting people that have bought from you. And this is utilizing emails and SMS. Now, I like keeping things simple. I like having one app that does pretty much everything. And there's an app called OmniSend that can do this for you. Now, at this point, you have a few choices. All right. If you're watching this till the end, I'm assuming you've already hit multiple six figures. You're going towards the 7 to 8 figures in revenue. You have two options. You can turn it into a private label brand like I did, where I really love the product. I fell in love with the niche. I bought a whole bunch of the inventory and I was selling it again to customers. I was shipping it, packing it out of my own house. I was increasing my margins even more because I bought it wholesale. And you could do that. You could have a baby to yourself and eventually later down the road, you could sell it. So this is where the value of dropshipping brands come in. You could be a dropshipper forever as well too. That's a third option. You could just keep going, find the next new running lamp or the next new, viral sunset lamp, whatever the product is. But one, you learned all the skills. And two, if you have a successful store, which you should, you can also list it on a marketplace exchange where you can sell it to someone else. Look, I have multiple friends who built up brands within the e-commerce space and they have sold it successfully off to another buyer. To do this, you go on a exchange like OpenStore or even Flippa, you list it on there. It's going to show your analytics, how much volume you were selling, and it's really from there where customers will reach out to you. If you guys want to check out how much your e-commerce business is worth, there's also a free tool from one of these platforms that you can use to punch in some numbers to connect your store to see what kind of value it would be at. Now, out of the 3 friends that sold their stores, all of them sold it for at least 6 figures. So that means they sold it for at least a couple $100,000, and that money immediately just deposited into their account. All right, so ladies and gents, if you have made it all the way till the end of this video, you've pretty much gotten all the most valuable information. Look, I could have made this even longer. I at least wanted to go through the basic roadmap of success and what I think is the most direct way for you to make as much money as possible as a complete beginner within this space. At the end of the day, say you're someone who gave it their all, you've done all of this, but for some reason, it still didn't work out. You might think that the money that you make in dropshipping is where you're going to succeed. But what I believe is from all the skills that you've learned in wearing different hats, from website development, running ads, making creatives, doing customer service, doing order fulfillment, all of those make you the best entrepreneur that is ready for the next opportunity. Look, I can say that from running my YouTube channel to affiliate marketing and investing into various businesses. I'm an angel investor in 20 different companies. I've done a lot of other stuff too. I have a team of now 20 people. Everything I have done has stemmed from the fact that I started my own dropshipping store, and it has allowed me to know the skills, understand the skills, and it has allowed me to build the foundation of the empire that exists under me today. So like I mentioned in the mindset section of this video, have faith, do not be pessimistic and think none of this can work out, because dropshipping changed my life. I was able to make money back then, and I know that many of you guys can make money now. And even more than that, there are literally comments that I get on my other dropshipping videos of people who are still finding success today. So before you go down below in the description to open up my Instagram and then DM me, hey, I have a question about dropshipping because I'm not so sure, just know everything that you need to know should be in this video. And if I'm missing anything, comment it down below. So thank you guys so much again for watching, and until next time, peace out.